The mail-order bride believed she was unwanted, until a little girl whispered, "Will you be my mama?" Chapter 1. The Lonely Arrival. The stagecoach rocked and jolted over the uneven trail, its wheels crunching over gravel and dust. Inside, Clara Hastings sat stiff-backed, gloved hands folded tightly in her lap. Her dress, once fine enough for Sunday church, was wrinkled from travel. The bonnet tied under her chin shaded her downcast eyes, though not enough to hide the worry written across her face. She had thought long and hard before answering the newspaper advertisement. A rancher seeks a wife, sober and God-fearing, must be willing to tend house and care for child. That was all it had said. No name, no details of what sort of life awaited her. But to Clara, it had been more than an ad, it was a chance. She had lost nearly everything back east. A mother gone too soon, a father whose debts left her with nothing but shame, and a broken engagement that had branded her as unwanted. Suitors avoided her, neighbors whispered, and soon there had been no place left for her. Now she was here, miles and miles from the world that had turned its back. The coach pulled to a halt at the edge of a dusty main street. The town wasn't much. 2 rows of wooden buildings, a church steeple rising stubbornly against the horizon, a livery stable, and a saloon with swinging doors. Beyond stretched the endless plains, rolling on into forever. The driver hopped down. "End of the line, ma'am." Clara clutched her carpet-bag, her only belongings in the world, and stepped down onto the dirt. The sun was hot, the wind dry. She scanned the street, expecting, hoping, to see someone waiting for her. But no one stood there. Men leaned against posts, watching with casual curiosity. Women hurried by with baskets. A couple of children darted across the road, chasing a stray dog. But none approached her. None called her name. Her heart sank. Perhaps he changed his mind. Perhaps even here, I am unwanted. The driver tipped his hat and drove off, leaving Clara alone in a swirl of dust. She straightened her shoulders, willing herself not to cry. A mail-order bride had no right to tears, only to courage. Minutes stretched. Finally, a man emerged from the livery stable. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with sun-browned skin and the rugged look of one who spent his life outdoors. His shirt was patched at the elbows, his boots scuffed with use. He walked with a kind of quiet strength, though his eyes carried a weight. He stopped a few feet away, hat in hand. "You must be Miss Hastings." "Yes," Clara said, her voice catching. "And you are?" "Eli Turner." He gave a small nod. "I placed the notice." So this was the man who had sent for her. He studied her for a moment, perhaps deciding whether she was what he had hoped for. Clara felt herself wither under his gaze, afraid he might turn away, just as so many had before. But Eli only said, "You've had a long ride. My wagon's this way." She followed him, silent, clutching her carpet-bag like a lifeline. The wagon was simple, pulled by a pair of sturdy bays. Eli helped her up, his hand rough and calloused. They set off out of town, the road stretching into the wide prairie. Clara watched the landscape roll past, tall grasses rippling in the wind, distant hills dotted with cattle. "You've never been out west before," Eli remarked, not unkindly. "No," she admitted. "It's vast." He gave a short grunt that might have been agreement. Conversation faltered after that. Clara's nerves prickled. She wondered if he already regretted sending for her. At last, the ranch came into view, a weathered farmhouse with a porch, a barn, corrals, and fields stretching beyond. It was not grand, but it was solid. Smoke curled from the chimney, and the smell of hay and animals carried on the breeze. Eli drew the team to a stop. Before Clara could step down, the farmhouse door banged open. A small girl, no more than 6 or 7, burst out. She had dark braids flying and a patched dress, her bare feet kicking up dust as she ran. Her laughter rang like a bell. "Papa! Papa, you're back!" she called. Eli's face softened for the first time as he swung down to catch her in his arms. He held her close, kissed her hair, then set her down gently. "This is Anna," he said, glancing at Clara. "My daughter." The child turned wide eyes on Clara, curious, hopeful, shy all at once. Clara knelt, smoothing her skirts. "Hello, Anna," she said softly. Anna stepped closer, studying her with the serious intensity only children possessed. Then, so quietly that only Clara could hear, she whispered, "Will you be my mamma?" The words pierced Clara's heart like sunlight breaking through clouds. For the first time in years, someone wanted her. Someone needed her. Her throat tightened, but she smiled through it. "If you'll have me, dear one, I'd be honored." Anna's small hand slipped into hers. And though the road ahead was still uncertain, Clara felt, for the first time in so long, that maybe, just maybe, she had found her place. A home of the heart. The days that followed were not easy ones. Clara rose at dawn, learning the rhythm of ranch life. She scrubbed laundry on a washboard until her hands were raw, kneaded bread with arms aching, and swept dust that seemed to return no matter how often she chased it away. She learned the stubborn stove's moods, the heavy pump that gave grudging water, and the creak of floorboards in the farmhouse hall. But she also learned the music of the place, the bawling of cattle, the rustle of wheat in the wind, the low neigh of horses in the barn. And over it all, the laughter of little Anna, who followed her about with wide eyes and endless questions. At first, Clara feared she was overstepping, that Eli might resent her presence. He was a man of few words, moving through his chores with steady strength. He tended fences, hauled hay, and rode out long into the pastures, returning sunburned and weary. At supper, he ate in silence, thanked her quietly, then retreated to the porch. Yet Clara noticed small things. How he watched Anna with a tenderness he tried to hide. How he glanced at Clara's hands as she mended his torn shirts. How he lingered, just a moment longer each night, before stepping outside. It was Anna who bridged the gap. One evening, Clara tucked the little girl into bed. Anna's small arms wrapped tight around her neck. "I knew you'd come," she whispered sleepily. "I asked God for a mamma, and He sent you." Clara's eyes stung with tears as she kissed Anna's brow. "God send me." She had thought herself discarded, forgotten, but perhaps Anna was right. Later, Clara stepped onto the porch. Eli sat in his chair, the stars stretched wide above. He didn't look at her as he spoke. "She talks about you," he said quietly. "Hasn't stopped since you came." Clara folded her hands. "I hope that doesn't trouble you." His jaw tightened. "No. It pleases me. She's been lonely. Losing her mother so young." He trailed off, the pain unspoken but heavy. Clara hesitated, then asked softly, "And you? Have you been lonely too?" The question hung in the night air. At last, Eli turned, his gaze steady and searching. "A man doesn't always admit such things. But yes, I reckon I have." Something in Clara's chest stirred, warm, steady, frightening in its depth. She had expected duty, perhaps tolerance. She had not expected to feel seen. The next weeks knit them closer. They worked side by side, Clara tending garden rows while Eli chopped wood, Anna darting between them with wild laughter. They shared stories at the supper table, laughter slipping easier each night. When storms rolled over the prairie, they sat together by lamplight, the farmhouse a small but safe haven. Yet Clara's old fears lingered. What if I am not enough? What if he only sees me as a caretaker, not as a woman to love? The answer came one late afternoon. Clara was hanging linens on the line when the wind tore a sheet from her hands. It whipped across the yard, tangling in the fence. She chased it, laughing breathlessly, only to find Eli already there, holding it out. Their hands touched as he passed it back. The warmth of his skin lingered. Their eyes met, and for a moment the world stilled. "Clara," he said, her name rough on his tongue. "I sent for a wife because my daughter needed a mother. But these weeks, I've seen more. I've seen how you carry yourself, how you care, how you belong here. And his voice faltered, I'd like you to stay. Not just for Anna. For me." Clara's breath caught. She thought of the woman she had been, unwanted, discarded, and of the woman she was becoming here, needed, cherished. She smiled through tears. "Eli Turner, nothing would make me gladder." A shout broke the moment, Anna racing toward them, skirts flying. She threw her arms around both, squealing with joy. "I knew it! I knew you'd be my mama forever." Eli's arm came around them both, strong and sure. Clara held them close, her heart full. For the first time, she did not feel like a guest in someone else's life. She felt home. And under the wide western sky, with a rancher's steady love and a child's bright laughter, Clara Hastings, once unwanted, found that she had been wanted all along.